All right, my friends, Mike Walker here, back with you and a new lesson in the Consulting Launch Kit. This is an exciting space for us to be in, guys, because we're going to be really taking everything that we've been building up to this point, all our analysis, all our hypothesis of what our market wants, needs, desires, our background, our skills, our strengths, our messaging, everything is, cumulatively coming together now for us to now engage in the market, which is exactly what we're going to be doing now. So in this lesson is X-ray market analysis. This is where we get the data back. We're actually going to definitively be able to identify what it is that our market is wanting and make sure that it's in direct alignment with our intended offer and our messaging and everything that we're going to be doing going forward here into the upcoming lessons in building out our offer and getting into the marketplace, marketing, all that good stuff. Everything hinges on the data that we're going to be collecting here in this process. So let's dive right in. So in lesson 3.2, what we're going to cover is the fact that success in consulting is not about coming up with a good idea. I've touched on this in previous lessons. We're going to underscore it here, make sure that you don't get stuck, that you have true clarity on what it is that we're intending to do here. Number two, benefits of the market analysis survey. So I'm going to go over what the survey is, the benefits of it, and then we're going to get right into creating the survey so that we can then deploy it into the marketplace and you can start benefiting from what this resource will provide you. All right, this is a great one from Mr. Sam Walton, founder of Walmart. Listen to your customers, they will guide you. And that's really the entire point of that slogan or that mission statement, I will tell you, of the fact that this is not about coming up with a good idea. This is not a creative process for you and I to come up with a program or offer. It's simply about identifying what our customers are asking for, just simply listening to the marketplace. And that's what we're going to do with this process of creating a market analysis survey. All right, so let me draw this in here. And what I've done is I've created this in Google Forms. You can use any number of different kind of survey tools. There's Jotform and multiple others. I've done it here in Google Forms. It's very simple to use. If you've never built one before, I'm going to walk you through just a couple of the key elements, but it is very intuitive and easy to put together. All right. So let me walk you through the psychology of what we're trying to achieve here with the market analysis survey. We are just simply trying to validate for us what we believe the market wants and have the market either respond positively or negatively to those ideas, that hypothesis that we have, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to survey the market. And the beauty of this is literally on a silver platter, they're going to tell us what they care about most. I've done this process with a variety of experience levels, people just coming into the game and they're just getting started. It's invaluable in that regard. But then also I've implemented this same strategy with people that have been in the game for a decade or more. And, they're kind of like, oh, okay, this feels kind of basic, Mike. I kind of already know what my market wants. I say, okay, well, let's just implement it anyway. Let's just validate our offer and our message. And every single time, people come back and go, wow, I'm so glad I did this, because either it does validate that, yep, what I was, bringing to the market, everything's resonating, I was on track. Or it's, wow, you know what? I didn't see this coming. I thought that everybody was going to be wanting this particular thing or whatnot, and yet it was not. It was whatever, something else. And so every single time people come back and just feel like, wow, this is gold. The market telling you exactly what it cares and wants is just, there's really nothing better to it. So this takes all the guesswork out, guys. This literally is our audience telling us what they care about the most. So let's dive in. So the psychology here is that I want to tell, I typically will title these types of surveys in a way that very clearly articulates that it's very short. This is intended to be brief. I don't want to send, a bunch of homework to somebody. I just want their, an initial feedback from them. I just want to get some basic data. I'm not, asking them for a ton of information. So I try to number the survey to about 5. You could have it as short as 3. You do less than that if you wanted, but obviously you need some data. So I tend to find that 5 seems to be the sweet spot, where it's long enough to capture the data you're looking for, but also not so long where you're going to get resistance from people even completing it in the first place. And if no one completes it, well, then the data doesn't matter, right? So I typically will start with, 5 questions about this particular industry or niche or survey, or you'll want to come up with a title that very clearly articulates that it's short, that's intended for a very specific audience. Remember, we only care about our audience, and that and the intention of this survey is that it's fully anonymous. It's just for internal research and input, and then thanking them for their time. Again, this isn't set in stone. Make it feel like your tonality and you're on brand with whatever it is that you're presenting yourself into the market. But at the end of the day, the key components here are that it's short. They know that it's short and that it's anonymous. The anonymous part, it just means that we're not collecting their name. We're not collecting their emails, things like that. This isn't necessarily a lead gen tool, meaning that we're trying to capture leads and we're going to follow up with them type stuff. You would probably encounter quite a bit of resistance doing that right out of the gates. What we're really doing here is just engaging with our market and making sure that we know that we have clarity of what the market is asking for. Later down in the course, we're going to get into the actual lead gen component, converting, conversations into buying conversations, all that. We're going to get there. But for now, let's just monitor and validate that we truly understand our market and have x-ray vision on what everybody cares about. So these 5 questions, I've put them here. Again, you don't necessarily need to copy these verbatim, but I would suggest that you at least follow along with the psychology of what it is that we're going for here. So question number 1, how long have you been in particular niche, industry, sport, hobby, whatever? The intent here is that I want to get clear on this person's sophistication level, how long have they been in it, meaning that, if they're not even in this particular niche, field, sport, business, whatever, then obviously the rest of their data doesn't matter, right? So what I'm trying to do here is just simply validate, are you even in this particular field? Are you actually in my TAM, total addressable market, right? So you might have, just starting out 1 to 5 years, longer than this. Maybe you'd even have something to the effect of, this doesn't apply to me or something like that. So if someone selected that, wow, okay, well, none of their answers are going to matter because they're not even within my TAM. But the point being here is that we just want to validate that they are in fact within our respective audience that we're going after. You'll notice that I have these all checked as required, by the way, just because they're short, they're intended to be easy to fill out. This is multiple choice, meaning they can only select one, of course. Question number 2 what are your top 3 most challenging aspects of blank, whatever, again, sport, hobby, business, etc. And this allows them to pick multiple options. And so here I'm going to have a selection of the things that I believe would be the most challenging aspects or the biggest hurdles or problems that my particular audience are facing. And this is going to allow them to pick multiple of them in a checkbox format so that I can then start to see which ones of these options become the most popular, the most widely selected. This will kind of give you a clue as to what your audience cares about the most. We then move on to what is the highest priority for you right now when it comes to blank. So again, whatever it is in their job, life, hobby, sport, whatever. This allows us to get clear on what they view as the number 1 priority. And again, this is a multiple choice, meaning they could only select one. So this kind of forces them to really get clear. They've listed several challenges here, but now we're like, okay, cool, but what's really your highest priority here? So it's just these two play off of each other. And if you can get answers to both of these 2 questions, it's gold, because now you have a pretty nice consensus of what your market cares about. But now you're going to find one of these options stands out amongst all the others as being the highest priority. And that's going to give you a really strong indicator as to what your messaging, how you're going to present your offers in the marketplace are going to lean heavily on that that highest priority, need in the marketplace. Question 4, you'll notice is different. This is actually an open field. And the reason why is because this gets them talking a little bit. This gets them entering words, vernacular, phrases, terminologies, etc., that your particular audience or industry is going to use. And this is also gold, because what will happen is you'll start to see that there are common phrases or belief patterns or ways of saying things or thinking or whatever that are going to stand out. You're going to start to find some commonalities, and those types of phrases and words you can apply to your own marketing. And what does that do? That immediately positions you as like, wow, this person gets me. These are the same things that I'm thinking about. These are the same words I'm saying to myself, right? So this allows you to extract actual, verbiage and terminology and apply it into your marketing and everything that we're going to be doing going forward as we get you out into the marketplace. And then lastly, number 5, what motivates you the most to blank, the biggest desire, goal, objective, whatever it may be that you believe would be the case. again, long form lets them text field enter in their words in their terms. What is the biggest desire? And again, this is just literal gold, because if you can get people to complete this for you, it's very, very eye-opening to start to see some commonalities across multiple people. Okay, so again, just 5 questions. You can just thank them and say, don't forget to click submit, and you're good to go. And all those responses are collected here. And again, depending on what platform you use, it might be slightly different, but the general process here is basically the same regardless of what platform you use. You can of course customize this if you have different colors and different things that you want to do for your brand or whatnot. That's fine. You can even add banners and images and things like that. Me personally, I just try to keep it very informal. I don't want it to feel too like markety or salesy. I just want to be an organic, authentic, hey, can you give me your opinion? Take 2 seconds and give me your opinion. That's really what I'm trying to do here. I don't want it to seem overly produced. I'm honestly just trying to get some genuine feedback from the marketplace and go from there. So in sending this, obviously you have some options. You could technically just mail it directly to people like this. I wouldn't necessarily do that. I don't think you're going to get a good response like that. So what I typically do is use the link. We'll shorten it here using that tool. Grab that link, and that's the link that you would include inside of direct messages and things like that. In the next lesson, we're going to move over to lesson 3.3, and I'm actually going to give you some scripts and some pointers on how to engage your market in that way. But just know that we'll arm you with the resources to do that. But this link is what you're going to want to get into people's hands so you can start collecting market feedback. Okay. Awesome, guys. So that is the process there. These are the next steps. You're obviously going to want to build out your market analysis survey. I've created a PDF tool as a template for you can refer to as you build out your own. Obviously, like I said, you don't need to use word for word what I've done, but make it fit within your audience and how you want to convey yourself to the marketplace. And then once you have that ready to go, move on to lesson 3.3, where we're going to actually start engaging with your market. Okay, we're going to get you out there. We're going to start communicating. We start, really getting a direct feel from people as to what they care about the most, so we can then start providing our solutions and services in the marketplace. Okay, guys, awesome. Let's get started, and we'll see you in the next lesson.